I am Anthony from HackersNet, and today we are going to talk about the DC animated movie universe. Do not confuse it with the DC animated universe, which is based on the timeline started in the Batman the Animated Series in 1992 and continues on today in a comic book and occasional movies. There may be spoilers ahead, so you have been warned. So in these series there are 15 different movies. And for those of you who may not even know you've heard of it, it's called DCAMU, or DCAMU, depending how you pronounce it, DCAMU, because again, the Batman, the animated series, that's DCAU, DCAU, and how I know the difference is because of James over at Watchtower database, and I will leave some information so you can find them on YouTube. Justice League, the Flashpoint Paradox. It's 2013, it's when it premieres. It's the first movie in the series. So we have to assume that the Flash is in the storyline, wherever it was prior to this, and he essentially travels back in time to save his mother. Instead, he creates a whole new reality. He then has to return things to the past because, despite the fact that his mom was alive, things were going weird. Like, it was, he wanted his mom back so bad, he got her back, and then he had to re-dead her. I don't know how to explain it, because the universe had changed so much just for him bringing his mom back. And he learns exactly how his mom died and what he had to let Professor Zoom kill his mom. He watched it happen. He had to make sure it happened. And it's kind of a mind F, if it were. I mean, if you went back in time to stop the killer from killing your mom and then had to go back in time to let him kill your mom. But by changing the universe even the second time, because technically he did not restore the original timeline, he created a new diverting timeline. If you need an example, check out Back to the Future 2. The Doc explains it. Then again, Rick and Morty also explain it, so your choice. For some reason, Futurama, not even a different timeline, every time something was altered, whatever. Anyway, the next movie, number 2, was Justice League War in 2014. The movie is the origin of the Justice League in this universe after a mother box is discovered. And then Darkseid makes his first appearance, which foreshadows later on. So in this one, you get, obviously you get Cyborg, because the New 52 storyline for Cyborg is that he is a mother box, basically. And then they, of course, Aquaman, Batman, Superman, Green Lantern, etc., they all join together and fight Darkseid. And weirdly enough, they kind of just, I think it was, they see Darkseid, they stop him, and Darkseid's like, you know what, you're not really that important, I'm gonna go away for a while. The third movie in the series was The Son of Batman, which is 2014. And then this is where Batman discovers that Talia, Ra's al Ghul's daughter, had produced a son after a night with him. It gets weird because in the later story, they kind of come back to it. But essentially, Damian is raised by Ra's al Ghul's League of Assassins and is in line to take over. But Deathstroke, who had formerly been working with the Assassins, expected that he would take over. I don't know why he never thought, like, Talia take over. But basically, Deathstroke was jealous. He wanted everything the Assassins did. So his goal was to just kill Damian, take over. Like, somehow that magically just works. I don't, the logic isn't there for me, but whatever. So then, the fourth movie is Justice League, The Throne of Atlantis, which is in 2015. Essentially, Aquaman's brother, Ocean Master, which is the laziest name ever. He's Ocean Master. Seeks war against the surface world and in turn the Throne of Atlantis. So if I remember correctly, his theory was he wins the war against the surface, then everybody will make him the leader of Atlantis, but then somewhere it's like, you know what, just kill Arthur and take his throne from him. But anyway, the point is, it was so overwhelming that Aquaman said, hey, I need people who don't breathe water to help me. So he calls in the Justice League, and of course the good guys win. So then the next movie, which is movie 5 in the series, is Batman vs. Robin. So at this point, Damian is living with Bruce, and he has trained him in his ways, which is don't kill people. So Damian has become Robin, but the Court of Owls are interested in Damian. So one of them kind of like, I want to say, just kind of brings him into the fold a little bit. Also, I think that maybe there was a goal to get Bruce to be, or Batman to become part of the... Anyway, so it ends up causing a rift between Damian and Bruce. It's basically, just think of the Court of Owls as a cult. So, you're trying to get somebody out of a cult. So, or, it's a thing, there's a fight. Damian sees the truth about the court. Although I swore they left like an opening for a future thing, but they never seem to go back to it. So then the sixth movie is Batman Bad Blood, which is in 2016. So Batman just disappears. And it reminds me of I want to say it was the second Batman series after animated. Batman disappeared, and then Superman has to take over for Batman. Well, in this case, Nightwing, Dick, takes over for Batman. And him and Robin... with Batwoman and Batwing, which ends up being... Oh, that's something interesting just popped in my head. So Batwing is Lucius Fox Jr. in the New 52, I believe. And then I'm thinking about, the Arrowverse was created during the New 52. So in theory, Batwoman could get a Batwing if Lucius Fox Jr. or Luke decides to don a cyber suit of some type. That also brings up the Batman Beyond, that suit was somewhat like Batman Beyond, but blue instead of red. Yeah, anyway, I'm going off trail here. So, essentially, the Bat family get together, they find out that Talia has kidnapped Bruce for some reason, and they fight, and I believe they kind of go, Talia's dead now, and Damian no longer has a mom, so it's a thing, but that's kind of where the movie ends. Now there's a Bat family. Except for the exception of an appearance in the Apocalypse War movie, you'll see them for a few seconds and then gone. The other funny thing is they introduced Barbara Gordon's Batgirl, but again, until the Apocalypse War movie, you don't see her again either.
Meanwhile, at the Hall of Justice.
So the seventh movie is Justice League vs. Teen Titans. So obviously, as things go, it is the culmination of all the superhero sidekicks getting together to form the team. And then Bruce encourages Damian to join them. And during a social outing, the father of Raven, Trigon, has demons attack the heroes. Ultimately, this leads to a fight against Justice League because Raven is a danger and the Justice League wants to stop her, but also the Titans, who are Raven's friends, and they want to save her. Ultimately, the Justice League ends up being possessed and do kidnap Raven, and they get defeated. And the next thing you know, there's a battle in hell to seal up Trigon. And then they explain how Raven got the jewel in her head. It becomes an important point later on. So then the eighth movie, Justice League Dark, which is in 2017. Now, the one thing I really enjoyed was, maybe you may not know this, Matt Ryan has played Constantine on television in addition to these movies since the New 52. So, and in fact, maybe you also don't know, Constantine, the TV show, lasted a season on NBC the same year that Arrow premiered on the WB/CW. So, technically, I think they're a couple days different maybe, but I don't know why it's not called the Constantine-verse. Somehow it's the Arrowverse, but maybe it's because WB/CW is where the show in which the teams start. I'm not quite sure, but I mean, they eventually folded Constantine into it. But anyway, Matt Ryan voices Constantine. So essentially there is a number of demonic attacks throughout the world, and with Batman's help, they recruit a number of supernatural heroes to combat it. Which is funny because it kind of reveals some story points that end up in the DC's Legends series, because I've never really followed Constantine as a character. I didn't even watch the NBC series. I haven't watched the cartoon they did for him. So you see some of those story points kind of leak into what is now the CW's universe, I guess. And that also brings an interesting thing about Stargirl and where does that fit in, but I digress. So then the next thing, movie 9, is Teen Titans: The Judas Contract, and that was also in 2017. And if you've seen the 2003 Teen Titans series, the story was partially taken from the Judas Contract So basically, if you may remember, in that version, Deathstroke Slade has Terra join the Titans, and then has her steal information, and then they betray the Titans. Blah blah blah. Well, that part of it is actually part of the real Judas Contract comic book. What they don't include is the Brother Blood component. So in this case, in the official Judas Contract story, Terra joins the Titans, and then Brother Blood, with the help of Slade, gets the Titans together so they can cipher their powers to perform some unusual ritual. It's a fairly dark story, but then again, this entire series of movies isn't particularly light. So the 10th movie of the series, The Suicide Squad Hell to Pay, which is a 2018 movie, where Task Force X is gathered to collect a mystical artifact by Amanda Waller. They soon discover that a former Dr. Fate may be the key to finding this artifact, but there are other villains seeking the artifact as well. This is one gory movie. It's crazy. The ending is like, wow. And because of what happened at the end, then you realize what the choices were for future, for like Apocalypse War, why the Suicide Squad is composed of who they are. So the 11th movie and the 12th movie are together. It's the Death of Superman in 2018, and then the Reign of the Supermen in 2019. Now, a decade or so prior, they had released on DVD the Death of Superman, or what they call Doomsday. And so you see the Death and Return of Superman in that movie, and they compressed it into 70-ish minutes. This one, they put it in a course of 2 movies. Doomsday is awakened by researchers and quickly begins seemingly endless stream of death and destruction. The Justice League and Lex Luthor, but Lex Luthor's doing it for personal reasons, not because he's a good guy. But they really attempt to intercept Doomsday. But Superman subdues him. But as you know, if you've read the comic books or you saw the previous movie, he dies. Now, the Reign of the Supermen is again, if you read the comic books. You get Steel, you get Superboy, you get the Eradicator, and you get Cyborg Superman. Now, Superboy, of course, is genetically half Lex Luthor and half Superman. Steel, just a good guy. But the Cyborg Superman, at first, seems to be decent. Like, people thought he was a legit Superman, and then the Eradicator is an alien butthole. He has a whole story arc in the comic books where he just... Oh, so bad. Anyway, after the Death of Superman, these guys make themselves known. Obviously, in all cases, they're like, oh, we're your new savior, we're your new Superman, whatever. But eventually, Superman does reawaken. If you've read any of the material or saw the other, he basically never died. He was technically in a coma, and he was regenerating. And then, of course, comes after these bad individuals with the help of Steel and Superboy. And this is the funny thing, is Superboy also doesn't make another appearance, or actually neither does Steel, until the Apocalypse War. So you're seeing the building up for this big one. Movie 13 is Hush from 2019. And to avoid a conflicting storyline with the CW's Batwoman, some of the facts were changed, so they're doing something a little bit different there. Well, actually quite a bit different. So in here, this one actually, the movie follows the actual comic book storyline. In this story, Batman and Catwoman become an item, and Damian just isn't too happy about it. One of Bruce's longtime friends is murdered to cover up a specific medical treatment. As Batman and Catwoman investigate, they find just a long, convoluted crime plot. Eventually, they end up fighting Superman, Poison Ivy, just a whole lot of villains, just to find out that the big bad was covering up cancer treatment. Basically, it's a whole thing. It required reconstructive surgery. I try not to give away too much, but I did not expect it, and because I did not read the book, so I was like, "What?" Because I honestly thought it was somebody else. So I was totally. But on the plus side, Joker gets his face punched in. So the 14th movie is Wonder Woman Bloodlines from 2019. And the story is in two time periods. The first one is, of course, Wonder Woman's creation and her training, and then you see her come to man's world. Well, I guess technically 3, because that's a long time separate. How she acclimates to the world and is living with a mother-daughter set. And then they skip like past the Flashpoint point to this modern timeline, or the present day, and she has to fight the daughter of the lady that she was first housed with when she came to live in man's world. Comes to find out there's a bigger thing happening, and these people, these bad guys, invade Themyscira. So she obviously has to fight her old friend. She has to save Themyscira. She takes a lot of damage, but luckily Themyscira has these artifacts that, you know, heal you and whatever, which is what these bad guys were actually going for. That's what they wanted. And they figured if they use Wonder Woman's friend, that maybe it'll make her weaker, but it only made her stronger, and of course she wins. So then the 15th movie in the series is Justice League Dark Apocalypse War. Everything is leading to this. So everybody from the Bat family, all the Titans, all the Justice Leaguers, everybody are in this movie at some point. So as I said earlier, it began with Flashpoint after Barry returned to the past to fix his mom's death, and then returned and made sure his mom did die. Again, it went off into a tangent, timeline C or whatever. It is discovered that Apocalypse has appeared in, I swear they said the word dimension, and I really think it meant universe. It appeared, it released some type of drone or something, or a couple of drones, and then disappeared again. And then Superman's like, this is what Apocalypse, or this is what Darkseid does every time he's about to invade a planet. We need to be proactive and hit him first. Uncharacteristically for Superman, he's like, we have to attack first. And I'm thinking to myself, this does not seem right. No, I go back to the War movie, and you go, okay, well, Darkseid was pretty bad, but he left. Is it really necessary to hit him now? And basically, Superman acts like a lawyer, like, here's all the evidence, we must attack. And it's like, what? Like, if Batman would have said this, I would have been like, okay, good, yes, we have to attack. It seems like it just didn't seem right. It really bothers me still, because it's just not characteristically him. But they gather everybody for this strike. They split up into 3 tiers. Apparently they don't have enough people to do something, so Constantine ends up getting Swamp Thing to help, which gets them on the 3 tracks. But then they find out that Doomsday's DNA had been incorporated into the parademons, so they're paradooms. And so now they have to fight basically just a butt ton of flying dooms, and it destroys them. And they don't make it, so very few heroes survive. So you end up skipping 2 years later. There's just a small band of them, so they're going to take a different approach. And I love the ending. It is spectacular. Trigon, again, Raven's father, he made it spectacular. It was so good. I loved it so much. In the end, and again, a spoiler here, they realized just too much was lost. Earth is pretty much dead. It's just short of just blowing up. The Darkseid, if you even watch the Superman series, he attaches devices to the planet to drain it of its magma, I guess, or whatever, to fuel his planet. He had gotten so far in 2 years that Earth was just unstable, and within years it just wouldn't exist anymore. He had decimated Earth, and Constantine said to Flash he needs to fix it. So now we're saying, okay, well, now we're going to create a 4th timeline. You see Flash go off into the distance, everything turns white. That is it. Now, I mentioned this before, these movies are derived on the New 52, which is a comic book series from DC that lasted between 2011 and 2016. While future movies will most likely be from the Rebirth series, which began in the 2016, I'm not really sure I can just stick them around for another overarching arc. It's a lot, 15 movies released, more or less 2 to 3 a year, and you have this thing just underpinning it. I really like the New 52. I don't like Rebirth. So, like, they've already announced Superman Man of Tomorrow, and I don't like the reapproach of Superman being crashing on Earth, being raised by the Kents, and then now he's doing this Smallville thing. Again, another show from the CW, or WB, I guess, back then. And I just don't like the take. But, you know, that's me. If you enjoy the Rebirth comics, have at it. But I also think to myself, well, I'm a huge fan of Dragon Ball and One Piece, and I did enjoy this long series of these 15 movies, and they're still doing the DCAU periodically, so they're still keeping that updated after nearly 30 years already. And I just, my heart, I just don't know if I can handle it again. Anyway, if you are a fan of the DC Animated Universe, which includes the Batman and Superman animated series, Batman Beyond, and Justice League Unlimited, then check out the Watchtower database. As I said before, I will include the URL in the description. But what was your favorite story in this series of 15 movies? Personally, I enjoyed Flashpoint and the Death and Return of Superman. But leave your answers in the comments. And then, thanks for watching, and please remember to like and subscribe.